Well, hello there. This is Dubois the Chess Noob, learning and having fun with chess. Today, I'm going to show you a game of the Scotch Gambit, a very, very good opening for white, and how I managed to turn things around playing against it with the black pieces. So let's have a quick look at this game. My opponent played the Scotch Gambit. e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, and then the immediate d4. An aggressive opening. Of course, I capture, and now the Scotch Gambit. Rather than capturing back immediately, they develop the bishop. This is one of the best openings for white, partly because every move here is completely naturalistic. This is pretty much what black is going to do, which means if you play the Scotch, you're pretty much guaranteed to get this position quite a few times. Now, if we look at the Lichess community database of lower-rated games of blitz and rapid, white wins from this position 56% to 41% for black. Now, to get those sort of win ratios on move 4 with a pretty much guaranteed, position where you're not even really that bad, evaluation-wise, it's practically equal. This is a really good opening. And so, given that I'm an e5 player against e4 with black, you need to know how to respond to the Scotch Gambit. Otherwise, you're just going to be losing over and over. Now, the best response, in my view, in this position is the Dubois Reti defense, which is to develop the other knight, effectively a two knights type defense. Here, the play of the white pieces will almost always push the e-pawn to e5. That's pretty much their best move. The idea is, look, they've moved my central pawn out of the way. There's a semi-open e-file. There's an opportunity to attack my knight. And here, the move to know with black, what makes the Dubois Reti defense good is d5. You just need to know this move. It's not the most obvious move, but it is the best move. Now, Stockfish at very high depth might identify another move, maybe moving the knight here to be a little bit better. However, when you look at the Lichess community database of lower-rated games, blitz and rapid, this move reverses the win ratio. So in this position, white only wins 43% of the time, while black wins 53% of the time. So in just a few moves, we have completely flipped the win ratio, and the evaluation is pretty much still 0-0-0. However, unless white now plays very accurately, and odds are they won't. They just won't see this Dubois Reti and then a d5. They just won't see it that common. Pretty much every other move other than a bishop to b5 is a mistake, an inaccuracy or a mistake. In this game, before I talk about that, no, the most common moves here is that white will do something about that pawn. So either they just take my knight or they capture en passant to get rid of the pawn attacking the bishop. Both of those moves are mistakes. In this game, my opponent was blitzing out moves. Keep a note of their clock. So this was a 15-minute game with 10-second increment. Just keep an eye on their clock. So I think I used my clock much better than my opponent. And my opponent, by blitzing out moves, actually ended up making some errors that, a little bit of further calculation would have defended them against. So they now castle. That's a straight up mistake because the bishop's hanging. And I will take the bishop, and I take the bishop. And in this position, I've gotten quite a nice advantage. So Stockfish at low depth, so with the evaluation bar, it's a good advantage. At higher depth, it's -3. So they've just straight up lost that piece. So they tried to pin the knight. They shouldn't have done anything fancy, should have just taken. I now block that pin with the bishop. Again, I could have just straight up threatened that bishop. Captures, they give a check, but now I can block the check with development. Very good for me. They try to defend that bishop. Bang. They're forced to capture. Takes. That queen is in a nice position, 2 squares away from a knight, so that really blocks any of their development. Also defends that pawn a few times around as well. They now put an extra attacker, but now I can long castles. Long castles, rook adds an extra defender, and now opposite side castling, the potential for pawn storming. Very, very good. And with me up material, basically up a full piece, it's my game to lose. So they shouldn't have taken, because when you look at the end of the sequence, so captures, I get the final capture with an attack on the queen. Now they played the best move, queen a4, attacking that pawn. However, here, a couple of options. I think I can just push the pawn. I decide to move my king over to b8. They develop their knight, that's fine. Here, I was thinking a couple of things. So I thought I should probably just take that pawn, but then I saw, look, this looks very, very forcing. The funny thing here is I actually did see this fork coming, but as I was calculating it, I actually neglected to see that a knight actually also defends that square. So when they sort of made that move, I almost was ready to immediately sort of blitz out to play that. I thought that would be sort of a potential mate, because a king here and then mate. But just before I moved the queen, I realized, oh, wait a minute. It's defended, almost hung my queen. So here, that's a little bit annoying, of course, because that's a good move by white, with the fork of these 2 pieces. So I thought, look, going to have to take and then take back. So captures the pawn on b2, they capture the rook on d2, queen captures back on d2. Here, I'm still sort of up 1 point of material. I thought I was still potentially better, but it's a little bit trickier. So they attack the queen, move the queen out of the way. Now here, I have to be very, very careful. I cannot move this bishop while the rook is there, because otherwise what they will have potentially is check, captures, and there's a potential back rank mate here. So I have to be very, very careful with where I put that bishop, and I have to make sure I don't actually trade it away. So they attack the queen, move the queen, they attack the queen, move the queen. Aha! They no longer have a rook on that e-file, which means this bishop can now move. So that's a important sort of important immediate threat. So push the pawn. They move across. That makes sense because that is now pinned. So the rook can potentially capture that bishop. But here I decide to just move my sort of bishop out of the way. And the interesting thing here, that's with the sort of defense of that pawn, because potentially, of course, that is coming. Now here, I think white makes a blunder, and I think they probably made an error of continuity. So what I think they were thinking of doing was potentially to line up that rook. They wanted to get the king off the back rank, but in doing so, I think they lost sight of the fact that pawn was no longer defended by a rook. So moves ago, that was defended, and I think they forgot that it's no longer defended other than by the king. It's a blunder, made in 4, because queen captures the pawn, check, and the king just gets hunted out. Out, check, it's defended, out, and I was very proud to have seen this. Pawn forward check, captures, and then queen to e4, mate in the center of the board. A good game, GG. There are 2 big takeaways from this game. The first is you need to make appropriate use of your time. In this game, my opponent lost the game by checkmate with 16 minutes left on the clock of a 15-minute game. Don't do that. The second big takeaway is to learn and make use of the Dubois Reti defense against the Scotch Gambit, especially with that d5 move. It is a very, very powerful negation of the Gambit. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.